Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt heavier, as if someone else's sadness had soaked into the air like fog? Or perhaps the opposite. You sat beside someone, and without them saying a word, you felt a little safer, a little more alive, a little more seen. That's the power of energy. It speaks before we do, and it lingers long after we've gone. We often think of healing as something we do, a pill to take, a treatment to follow, a plan to fix the body. But what if your presence itself is medicine? What if the way you breathe, the way you listen, the energy you carry into every conversation is already healing or harming the people around you? No one taught us this, but we feel it every day. When you hold resentment, it radiates. When you carry peace, it settles into the room like sunlight through the trees. And here's what no one tells you. Others don't just feel the energy you carry. It shapes your biology. It encompasses your immune system, sleep patterns, heart rate, and pain perception. You've been focusing on what you do for others. But the deeper question is, what are you radiating? In the next few minutes, I'll show you how your inner energy field, your emotions, your thoughts, your stillness, may be the most powerful medicine you've ever offered to others and yourself. Let's begin. 1. Your energy speaks before you do. What if I told you your energy arrives before your body does? Long before you say a word, people feel you. They think the storm you're hiding or the peace you've cultivated. They sense whether your presence is a weight or a soft place to land. We spend our lives learning how to speak, how to dress, how to act. But no one teaches us how to manage the most powerful thing we offer every day, our energy. Have you ever noticed how some people feel like sunshine, even when they're old, wrinkled, or sick? They don't say much, but when you're around them, your chest loosens. You breathe deeper. You feel seen without being judged. That's not charisma, that's healed energy. There's a word in Buddhism, metta, loving kindness. Not as a feeling, but as a state of being. A frequency you emit, a silent offering. You can be walking through a grocery store or sitting on a bench at 72 years old and still radiate metta like medicine. So here's the question. What energy are you bringing into your home, your relationships, your reflection? If you're constantly angry, bitter, anxious, people around you may never understand it logically, but they'll feel it intuitively. Just like a child senses tension between parents without hearing a single argument. Energy doesn't lie. It seeps through your posture, your breath, your silence. It leaves a trail in the air. I once met a woman in her late 60s who told me she felt invisible. I don't work anymore. I'm not needed, she said. But when I visited her home, I felt something sacred. Peace in every corner. Warmth in the way she poured tea. A stillness in how she looked at you, like she saw your soul. I told her, you may feel invisible, but your energy heals more than you know. She wept, because no one had ever told her that before. What if your greatest impact isn't in what you do, but in the field you create around you? Scientific studies now show that the human heart emits an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond the body, and this field changes depending on your emotional state. Gratitude expands it, fear contracts it, compassion harmonizes it. So yes, even if you say nothing, people can feel your chaos or your calm. Your presence is medicine or a toxin. The choice is yours. The truth is, most people today are walking around energetically bankrupt. They give too much, suppress too much, carry too much, and wonder why everyone feels so heavy to be around. But what if you started treating your energy the way you treat your physical hygiene? Would you skip brushing your emotional teeth for weeks? Would you pour dirty water into someone else's glass and expect them to feel refreshed? You cleanse your body, but do you cleanse your energy? Zen monks don't just meditate for peace, they meditate to maintain purity of presence, because they know the quality of your silence says more than the quantity of your words. You don't have to be a monk to do this. You just have to be intentional. Before you walk into a room, pause and ask, what energy am I bringing with me? Before you speak to someone hurting, ask, can I soften myself first? Because here's a truth few are ready to hear. You're either soothing the nervous systems around you or activating them. When you walk into the room with tight shoulders, fast breath, and a restless gaze, you change the air. But when you walk in slow, steady, heart open, you become a medicine that no pharmacy can sell. The most powerful people I've met were never loud. They didn't try to impress. They didn't dominate conversations, but their presence lingered long after they left. Because their energy was clean. And here's the part no one tells you. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be real. Your energy doesn't have to be flawless, but it needs to be honest. Even sadness can be healing when it's not disguised. Even grief can be nourishing when it's held with grace. So today, instead of asking, what can I fix in myself? Ask, what energy do I want to carry into my breath, into my home, into this moment? Because that energy becomes your medicine. And if you offer it from a place of presence, it will heal more than you know. Let's go deeper. Next, we explore where this energy is born and how your thoughts, even the ones you never say out loud, are shaping your field every single day. 2. Your mindset shapes your energy. What if your thoughts aren't silent at all, but echo through every cell of your body and into every space you enter? We've been taught that thoughts are private, that no one can hear them. But here's a deeper truth. Your body hears every thought, and so does your energy. Every inner judgment, every fear, every story you repeat becomes the music your nervous system plays, and others can feel it, even if they don't know why. Your energy doesn't start with your breath, it starts with your beliefs. Have you ever noticed how one negative thought in the morning, I'm so behind, or I feel useless, can hijack your entire day? It doesn't just stay in your head, it shows up in your face, your posture, your tone, your pace, and most heartbreakingly, it becomes the energy your loved ones absorb. The most dangerous toxins we carry aren't in our food, they're in our thoughts. A Zen teacher once said, "The mind is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master." And yet for most of us, the mind is running the show, not with kindness, but with harshness, criticism, and fear. And the longer we let those patterns run unexamined, the more they calcify into our energy field. I once guided a man in his 70s through a simple meditation where we quietly listened to his inner dialogue. After just 10 minutes, he looked up with tears in his eyes and said, "I had no idea how cruel I am to myself every day." He'd spent decades smiling politely on the outside, while silently telling himself he wasn't good enough, fast enough, or needed anymore. That hidden cruelty had become the energy he carried into every room. And it broke him, quietly. You cannot radiate peace if your mind is filled with war. That's the raw truth. But here's the good news. The moment you shift your inner dialogue, you shift your energy. Even if your circumstances stay the same, even if your body's aging, even if no one else sees the work you're doing, Because energy doesn't wait for your life to be perfect. It responds to the story you choose to believe. Let me ask you something tender. What belief about yourself do you carry that is quietly poisoning your energy? Is it, I'm a burden, I'm no longer valuable, my best years are behind me? Those aren't just thoughts, they are spells. And every time you repeat them, even silently, you reinforce them with your energy. But what if, just for today, you replace them with something like, I am still growing. My presence matters more than my performance. I am learning to be gentler with myself, because the thoughts you water are the ones that bloom into energy. There's a concept in Buddhist psychology called samskara, the grooves left behind by repetitive thoughts and actions. Think of it like emotional muscle memory. The more you think a thought, the deeper its groove becomes, and the easier it is to fall back into it. But here's the miracle. Every moment is a chance to carve a new groove. Every breath is a chance to lay down a new energy track. You're never too old. You're never too far gone. Your brain and energy field are more malleable than you've been told. Healing doesn't always mean adding something new. Sometimes it means subtracting the stories that never belong to you, like the story that you need to be productive to be worthy, or that your softness is a weakness, or that silence means you have nothing left to offer. No, your silence can be sanctuary. Your stillness can be medicine. Your being, without doing, is already enough. So here's your invitation. For the rest of today, observe your thoughts not as truths, but as energy currents. Each time a thought arises, ask, is this adding light to my field or draining it? You'll be amazed how quickly your energy begins to shift when you stop believing everything your mind says. And the more loving your inner voice becomes, the more healing your outer energy feels. People will feel it. They won't know why, but something in you will feel softer, safer, like home. Let's go even deeper next, because thoughts are just the surface. Beneath them lie emotions you've buried, sometimes for decades. And those emotions carry more energy than words ever could. And the question becomes, what happens when you finally allow yourself to feel what's been frozen inside you for years? Let's explore that together. 3. Your unspoken emotions become your invisible medicine. What if the tension in your shoulders isn't from age, but from years of unspoken grief? What if your fatigue has less to do with your body and more to do with everything you've had to carry without complaint? Most people believe that energy is something you create through motivation or discipline, but real energy, the kind that nourishes your cells and softens the space around you, comes from what you're willing to feel. We are not tired because we've done too much. We're tired because we've felt too little. We've been taught to suppress emotion in the name of strength, to smile when we want to cry, to say I'm fine when we're falling apart. But every unspoken truth doesn't disappear. It buries itself in your tissues, your breath, your nervous system, and eventually it becomes your energy. What the mouth doesn't say, the body eventually will. In Buddhist practice, we learn to sit with what arises, without judgment, without fixing. Because only in that presence can pain turn into wisdom. I once guided a woman through a silent retreat. She was in her early 70s, graceful and composed. On the third day during walking meditation, she stopped and wept silently beneath a Bodhi tree. Later, she whispered, I realized I never grieved my brother. I had to be strong for everyone else. That moment was not a weakness. It was healing. Her tears were not chaos. They were clarity. When you finally feel what's been frozen, your energy thaws. Most people are walking around frozen inside. Their anger hasn't had a voice. Their sorrow hasn't been named. Their fear has been pushed so far down, it has become a quiet ache they call normal. But the body never forgets. It holds memory not just in the brain, but in the gut, the chest, the hips, the jaw. That tightness in your neck, that exhaustion that won't lift. It may not be a medical condition. It may be emotional congestion. The longer you avoid feeling, the more distorted your energy becomes. And people feel it, even if you don't speak it. Children especially. They don't listen to what you say. They absorb how you are. Zen teaches, you cannot outrun the emotions you've refused to welcome. Instead, we must sit beside them like old friends, scary, misunderstood, but longing to be seen. Here's the truth few dare to speak. Your unprocessed emotions are the reason your energy feels heavy, even when life is quiet. You can meditate, eat clean, sleep well, but if you are still holding on to shame from 20 years ago, your energy will carry that weight. Not because you're bad, but because you haven't had space to release it. Let me tell you something sacred. Crying is not a weakness, it's a nervous system reset. Tears are your body's way of saying, I'm finally safe enough to let go. I've met elders who haven't cried in decades, not because they're strong, but because no one ever permitted them to feel. But when they finally do, their faces soften, their voices tremble, and their presence becomes radiant. Not because they're healed, but because they're real. The most healing energy is not perfection, it's authenticity. You don't have to be calm all the time to offer peace. You just have to be honest. Because truth has a frequency, and when you speak from the heart, even your silence becomes sacred. So here's a question for your soul. What emotion have you been holding in that's ready to be released? Maybe it's grief, maybe it's resentment, maybe it's a simple sadness that says, I wish someone would just ask how I'm doing. Write it down, speak it out loud in the quiet of your room. Breathe into it, not away from it, because the energy you offer the world is only as clear as the emotion you're willing to face. And when you release what's buried, you don't just heal yourself. You heal your field. The room around you shifts, your relationships soften, your body rests. You become the elder others come to for quiet comfort. Not because you fixed everything, but because you finally felt it all. Let's continue. Now that we've honored the power of emotion, it's time to explore something even more subtle and transformative. The medicine of stillness and how silence itself carries the energy to heal. Stay with me. We're just beginning to uncover your real power. 4. Stillness is your most powerful energy reset. What if the most powerful medicine you could ever offer is your stillness? Not your advice, not your effort, just the quiet, grounded way you choose to be, especially when everything else feels chaotic. Most of us were raised to value productivity over peace. We were praised for what we accomplished, not how calm we remained. But in the spiritual path, stillness isn't laziness, it's mastery. In a world that constantly moves, the still person becomes magnetic. When you sit in silence, you may feel like you're doing nothing, but beneath that stillness, your body repairs. Your nervous system exhales, your thoughts slow down, and most of all, your energy reorganizes into something coherent, something peaceful. People can feel that stillness radiating from you like warmth from a fire. Have you ever sat with someone who didn't say a word, but their presence calmed your soul? That's not magic. That's the energy of practiced stillness. That's a person who's made peace their priority, not their prize. Zen monks don't sit in silence for show. They do it because they know the secret. You don't find peace. You return to it. It was always there, beneath the noise. I once visited an elderly monk who had not left his small temple in years. He didn't speak unless spoken to. He moved slowly, bowed often, and spent most of his days sitting under a Bodhi tree. When I finally asked him, "What do you do all day?" he smiled and said, "I try not to disturb the peace that's already here." That kind of stillness isn't empty, it's full of clarity, grace, and unseen healing. When you embody stillness, even for 5 minutes, you change the energy of the entire room. You slow down the conversation, you soften the fear in others. Your grounded presence becomes the medicine that so many never knew they needed. And here's the most powerful part. Stillness doesn't mean silence. It means presence. You can still be while walking, cooking, listening, speaking slowly with love. The outer world keeps moving, but your inner world, your energy, stays anchored. In a storm, the calmest person leads. That's why the elderly who've cultivated stillness often feel like wisdom incarnate. They don't rush to fix. They don't need to speak much. Their energy is so deeply rooted that even their breath heals those around them. You don't need a temple. You need a willingness to pause. Take just one moment today to stop, not to scroll, not to plan, but to breathe deeply. 3 full breaths, in and out. You'll feel it immediately. The noise in your head will lower its volume. Your heart will remember a rhythm older than worry. And in that space, clarity returns. Science now understands what monks have always known. Rest is where integration happens. Your brain consolidates memories, heals inflammation, and restores immune strength in silence. But more importantly, your energy recalibrates. It stops reacting and begins radiating. Stillness is how you charge the battery of your soul. Have you ever noticed that when you're exhausted, it's not from activity, but from overstimulation? Noise, news, conversations, decisions, expectations. Stillness is how you cleanse the energy field around you. It's not passive, it's restorative, it's active peace. And here's something rarely said aloud. When you embody stillness, you permit others to exhale. Children open up around calm people, partners soften, strangers relax. Why? Because they've stepped into a space that says, you don't have to perform here. That is sacred energy. Not because you said something wise, but because you were present enough to hold space for healing. So many people walk around with loud energy, fidgeting, rushing, proving, fixing. But the elder with soft eyes and quiet breath carries more power than 1,000 motivational speeches. Your stillness is your sanctuary, and your sanctuary becomes your offering. In Buddhism, we call this the natural state. It's not something you chase, it's something you uncover. Beneath all the doing, beneath all the thoughts, there is a presence in you that is always at rest. That is your real energy. That is your deepest medicine. So the next time you're unsure of what to say, or how to help someone, or how to even help yourself, pause, breathe, and let your stillness speak. Because when your words can't reach someone, your energy still can. Now that you've remembered the healing power of stillness, let's explore something even more subtle. How the intention behind your energy becomes the difference between draining others or reviving them. Stay with me. The most important part is still to come. 5. Your intention is the energy you offer. What if your energy isn't just about how you feel, but about why you're showing up at all? So many of us spend our days giving, but never asking why. We try to help, serve, care, but underneath that, is it love or guilt? Is it connection or fear of being alone? The most powerful energy isn't in what you do, it's in the purpose behind it. You can say all the right words, smile at the right time, even give generously, but if your intention is clouded, if you're doing it to prove something, to gain approval, to avoid discomfort, then your energy becomes confusing, both to others and to your nervous system. The body can't fake intention, neither can your energy. I've met people who gave endlessly to their family, to their church, to their community, yet felt deeply resentful, not because they didn't love, but because they never examined the root of their giving. And that resentment leaked out quietly, in tone, in size, in a weight others could feel, but couldn't name. A healing energy cannot come from a place of depletion, it must come from alignment. Zen monks speak often of right action, not just doing the right thing, but doing it from the right place inside. Washing a dish can be a sacred offering or a silent punishment, depending on the heart behind it. So ask yourself, why am I doing what I'm doing? And who am I being as I do it? Because your energy is not just the result of your emotions, it's the echo of your intention. A kind act rooted in obligation feels heavy. A small act done with joy feels expansive. People may not notice the difference consciously, but they will feel it. The vibration of your intention shapes the medicine of your presence. Let me share a moment I'll never forget. An elderly man came to one of my workshops. He was 82, quiet, and sat alone. When I spoke about the power of energy and intention, his hands trembled. Afterward, he approached me with tears in his eyes and said, "I realized I spent most of my life trying to be useful, not loving. I gave everything I had, but I was never really there." He gave his energy, but not his presence. And deep down, he knew the difference. We all do. There's a silent ache that follows a life of empty giving, a loneliness that whispers, "But who saw me?" That's why the most healing energy isn't found in quantity. It's found in sincerity. Not how much you give, but how purely you give it. Not how many people you please, but how truthfully you show up. People don't remember your advice. They remember how safe they felt near you. That safety comes from intention, from presence, from energy rooted not in fear, but in quiet love. And here's the hidden tragedy. Many people give until they collapse. Then call it compassion. But compassion without boundaries becomes self-erasure. And energy offered from emptiness doesn't heal. It confuses. You become resentful. Others become unsure. And the medicine turns bitter. So what's the answer? Pause, realign, return to your why. Before you speak, breathe and ask, am I saying this to be helpful or to be right? Before you give, ask, am I offering this from fullness or fear? You will feel the shift immediately. Your breath softens, your eyes relax, your energy clears, and suddenly what you offer becomes sacred, not because it's perfect, but because it's real. True healing happens when your energy and your intention walk hand in hand. In Buddhism, there's a concept called bodhicitta, the awakened heart. It's not about trying harder, it's about aligning your actions with love so vast it needs no applause. The energy of bodhicitta is soft but unstoppable. It touches without force. It heals without credit. And you don't need to become someone else to carry this. You just need to come home to the most honest part of yourself. Because that is the medicine people remember. That's the energy that lingers in a room long after you've left. So today, don't just ask, what do I need to do? Ask, what do I want to offer? Let that question shape your next word, your next gesture, your next breath. Because when your energy is guided by love, not duty, you don't just heal others, you finally begin to heal yourself. And now, as your awareness deepens and your energy begins to soften, we arrive at the final truth, that all the energy you carry, all the healing you hope to give, must first be offered to yourself. Let's come home in the final part of our journey. So often we try to be the light for others, while quietly burning ourselves out inside. But here's the truth you may have forgotten. The most healing energy you'll ever offer the world is the one you give yourself first. Your calm doesn't come from fixing everything. It comes from accepting this moment without resistance. Your peace doesn't come from having all the answers. It comes from honoring the questions that live inside you. You've walked with others through storms. Now it's time to sit beside your own heart and listen, not to fix, not to judge, but simply to say, I see you. I've been carrying so much, and now I'm ready to soften. Let that be your medicine. Let that be your beginning, because every breath you take in stillness becomes a blessing to the world. Every moment you choose presence over panic becomes a healing vibration. You don't need to do more. You don't need to be more. You only need to remember that the energy you carry is already enough. If this message resonated, please like, share, and subscribe. In the comments, tell us, what kind of energy are you choosing to carry forward from today? You are not behind. You're not too late. You're exactly where healing begins.